Hi, this is Talking Timber Podcast with me, Mike Jeffrey.
And me, Keith Fryer.
And you can get previous episodes of Talking Timber on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and
YouTube.
That's
YouTube seems to be pretty popular. In fact,
I think so.
Apparently we're getting quite a few people actually brave enough to download.
Yes.
So, long may it continue. Thank you for all of you.
No, we're not just talking to each other in a secret chamber somewhere.
Yeah.
Although we do like talking to each other.
No, too right.
But today we've got a very interesting guest. It's Chris Sutton. Chris Sutton, sorry. That's a blur. Chris Sutton, and he's been in the industry 50 years and has held some very senior positions.
He has, and I've known Chris, as indeed you have, Mike, for a long, long time. I wouldn't say 50 years, but I've known him a long time, and he's done a lot of things.
Yeah,
he's done a lot of, and I would say a lot of very, very good things.
Yeah,
and I've been there on parts of those journeys. Actually, probably more in the failure than the success. Chris has done lots of things since then that have been really critical to this industry.
Yeah, and a very sort of dynamic career in the industry itself.
Really has, yeah.
And also leading positions in the industry organisations, particularly Timber Development UK, TD UK.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that and plenty more besides.
Yeah, no, hopefully. Are you there, Chris? Chris, are you receiving us? Over.
Good morning, gents.
Hey!
Loud and clear.
Excellent.
Full of beans as per usual.
Right.
Good.
It's like NASA to Artemis.
Yeah, we're speaking to Chris, though, in fairness. He's sounding chippy, but you've literally just come through an operation, I believe. So we really appreciate you coming on for the podcast.
Yeah, just had a complete left hip replacement 22nd of March, and I was out on the 23rd of March, and I'm out doing the gay fandango on my single crutch on a daily basis.
And you're down the gym already.
Well.
Yeah,
getting into the gym, getting back to the gym, doing some upper body weights, and well on the road to recovery.
Good stuff. Well, that sort of leads us in then. I mean, if that's recovery, but let's try and start at the beginning, Chris. 50 years. So where did it all begin? Where did you start in the timber industry, or why?
Well, why did I start in the timber industry? I got asked to leave school in 1976.
All right.
Was that up in Leicester?
Up in Leicester.
Were you politely asked to leave?
I was the bookies runner for the upper six and teachers at school, and unfortunately I got found out being in the local pub and local bookies 3 weeks on the trot. So I got asked to leave, and I went to the careers master, and he said, Sutton, he said, you speak a lot. I'm going to get you an opportunity in sales. Right. And in 1976, August 76, after the red hot summer, I was lucky enough to join Horsley Smith in Leicester.
Right.
And started there and spent 2 years with them. And it was a hard start to my career, because it was the hot summer, followed by a really cold winter, and the manager didn't particularly take to me. And he made me do my training November 76 to February 77. It was backbreaking, but it really, when I look back on it, it helped me, because I was out there moving plasterboard, lifting 20-foot lengths of 3x9 carcassing, lumping around bags of cement, and it was great.
Yeah.
And they put me through the BMF training course, but push came to shove. I wasn't being treated particularly fairly, I didn't think. I was ambitious, and an opportunity came along to join James Latham.
Right. Wow, so it was that quick. I had assumed there were a few other chess moves before you got to Latham's. It was that. Well, wow.
I have signed the official secret package. I did work for the Ministry of Defence for 6 weeks between jobs.
Right.
And it was soul destroying, and I think I'm okay to say it now, but I was looking after people that had gone AWOL in the British Army in Belize. Well, it was like one in the blue moon, so it was literally shuffling papers. But thankfully, one of my great mentors, Rod Martin, who I'm still in touch with now, he gave me the opportunity to join Latham's, and this is a true story. It was at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 5th of June 1978 at 9 o'clock.
Wow. Brilliant. And so there you go. What did you start off doing at Latham's?
I started off as a trainee in the panel department, and then And Latham's always been good at training.
Yes.
So I did the panel department, the timber department. I went to work in the transport department, warehousing, administration, finance. And it really was 2 great years of training.
Yeah.
And then, of course, in those days, they sent us off to do the certificate Institute of Wood Science at Leamington Spa.
Yes.
Fantastic. Great grounding.
And Latham's, it's one of the premier timber companies in the UK.
Yeah, for listeners,
going back to 1750 something.
1757. It's quite
incredible,
interesting,
isn't it?
It's really important to have that context.
Yeah, well, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart was born the year before.
Wow.
And then my favourite brewer, Guinness, was founded in 1759. So it gets into context, doesn't it?
It does. It does. And it's as cherished as Guinness, really, within the, even today by its customers. It's highly respected and is a brilliant company.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, I was privileged to work there for just over 40 years. And I had great mentors in people like the late, great David Coxhead, great characters like Jimmy Latham, or James, I should call him. David Latham gave me the keys to the door along with Jimmy back in 1997.
Yeah.
Roger Latham was a really tough, hard taskmaster. But, Roger knew what he wanted to achieve. And I remember him taking over his first board meeting as chair. And he said there's 28 things he wanted to achieve.
Wow.
And we had to achieve those things. And we did. So, it's great. And then, of course, latterly I worked with Nick Latham, who is a steady hand on the tiller. He's really solid. He loves the business. He treats the staff well. And it's a great people's business. They do look after their staff. They work with their customers, and they've got good relationship with their suppliers.
Yeah. And also, Latham is one of the sort of front runners in terms of driving the sustainability and environmental performance of the industry. That's the case, isn't it?
100%. And as soon as FSC came around, I think it was 1997. You probably correct me wrong. WWF,
about right.
Yeah,
I think it was about right. And Latham encompassed that.
Yeah.
And the policy, certainly whilst I was the managing director and had any say in the strategy of the company, is we always looked at making sure that we were offering fit for purpose, legal and sustainable products. And we walked away from many, many products over many years. And it cost us millions of pounds of turnover.
Yeah.
But of course, the most important thing to us was our reputation.
Yes.
And, 1757 and in 2007 or 8 years in some hooky material from somewhere, your reputation's
shattered.
out the window.
Yeah. So how did your career develop? I mean, from those early days?
Yeah, I was really lucky. I worked closely with Roger Latham, and he put me on the board of Advanced Technical Panels in 1987, and that was my first directorship. And then I was made a director of James Latham Midland and Western, which was the Leicester and Bristol depots. And then I was asked by Michael Latham, the chairman at the time, to go down to Bristol to do a recovery job. They were losing money. I was given 2 years to turn it round, and within 18 months, we got it into profit. But it was all about developing a team ethos and working together. We stood together. And, it's fair to say Latham's a very reliable company, but they weren't exactly go-getters. They traded quite a lot on reputation, but we changed that mentality. We got people in that were salespeople, and we created this real team environment. And, Yates now is one of the most profitable depots in the Latham organisation.
Yes.
So I think, and then I remember I was in Italy on business with Piers Latham, and that's always an interesting journey, as you probably know. And I got a phone call in the hotel, and it was from James Latham. He said, "Can you come and see me when you get back from Italy?" And I thought, "Oh no, what have I done wrong?"
What year was this, Chris?
1997.
Yeah.
I arrived at Heathrow with some trepidation, got into my car and drove along to Clapton.
Yeah.
Now then, Sutton, it's about time we gave you a bit more responsibility. We want you to get on with running the panel division for the group.
Wow.
I thought, oh, my word.
Wow.
and that came along with some challenges, because there were some very experienced senior people in the Latham group, like Coxhead and Keith Hunt. And I had to be very careful how I dealt with those characters. But I have to say they were really supportive of me. And then, things developed. David Latham retired. James Latham retired in 2000. And again, they gave me more responsibility on a wider basis. And then, of course, Roger Latham took over as chairman. But just prior to that, in 2005, I was appointed to the PLC board.
Right.
And that was one of the proudest moments of my life.
Yes.
It was full of Lathams. And I think I was one of the first non-Lathams to be a PLC director, which there were one or two before me, but it was with such great pride. And I've always cherished that.
Yeah.
And it was great times.
Yeah.
The company allowed me to try and develop the business, and we did. We were a bit of a sleeping giant. Depots working independently. Yes, of course, they need some autonomy, but we weren't using the benefits of being a group.
Yeah.
So we then got on to working more closely as depots and departments. We started to develop better relationship with customers and suppliers, and we wanted to be the go-to business for the industry. And of course, the big thing about Latham's was the diverse product range.
I was going to ask about that.
Well, it was second to none.
Yeah.
Hardwoods, softwoods, panel products, and of course then we went into solid surface. And then obviously in the 80s, we created the Advanced Technical Panels team, which was very heavily aimed at the transport sector and the construction sector. But,
And you've brought in a lot of innovative timber products, haven't you? I mean, you've been one of the, well, you have been the lead supplier of Accoya in the UK, and also your engineered product range as well, I think, has broken ground.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Accoya, I mean, that's been great for Latham's. We had to battle to get the distributorship, and we made a presentation to Axis, and they went with us. It's been a great product, and no doubt about it, coupled with Tricoya from Medites, they were the two most innovative products we'd seen for a fair period of time.
Yes.
And whilst we've now seen variation on a theme, new structures, new finishes, new patterns, new decors, we haven't seen anything game-changing, really, other than we've seen more and more structural engineered wood products, which has been fantastic. So if you look at the likes of CLT, but then if you also look and say finger-jointed hardwoods, that's been a bit of a game-changer.
Yeah.
So I think Latham's didn't always lead. They followed a little bit, but once they got into something, they did become the leaders. And, certainly on some of the hardwood products. On the panel products, we didn't do melamine 25 years ago. They didn't do melamine, I should say. It's historical now. But they became a major player. Of course, they're not number one or two, but they're probably number three in the UK now.
Wow.
On melamine distribution. So I think it was focused. We created a structure where we had product champions. So we'd have a veneer board product champion for the group, MDF, hardwood plywood, hardwoods, North American hardwoods, speciality, flooring.
Yes.
And over the years, they've developed that. And I think, they've still got a very strong business. And obviously, they're investing now in the central distribution facility.
Well, I was going to say, there's no shortage of bravery, is there, in all of this? Because like all businesses, it's not all about 100% successes. There will have been issues where you realise you're going down an avenue that's not going to really work. It's not going to end right. So I think that's the thing I've noticed of Latham's as an observer, is the willingness to confront those situations and deal with them.
Yeah, I think you have to. I mean, we were known as, if there's an opportunity, we'd jump on a plane and go and see somebody. We'd go and shake hands, see who owned the business, see what we could do. And it was all about creating a partnership together. But, one of the things when I left Latham's at the end of March 2019, and, they were very kind to me and talking about the successes, but I did have failures. Sometimes I was too supportive of underperforming staff. Sometimes I took a punt on a product, and there was a great product called Miracle Board.
Oh, right. What was that then?
It was a honeycomb core with MDF.
I remember it. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember it.
Latham's took it on the distribution. Then when we saw it's been made in the cowshed, we thought this is exactly a game changer.
Yeah.
So I think if they could have found a piece of miracle ball when I left at the end of March 2019, they'd have presented it to me. I think the words were, "It'll be a miracle if this product works." So,
Yeah.
But
And
also,
they-
I was going to say also, I mean, Latham's is throughout its history is probably one of the lead suppliers of tropical hardwoods,
indeed.
and
Yeah.
but over more recent years or more recent decades, it's been one of the front runners in driving sustainable certification of tropical timber and sort of battling against its reputation. People have perhaps in the past associated it with deforestation, but Latham's has stuck with it and also, as I said, driven sustainability certification. So that's another sort of achievement of the company under your in your time there.
Yeah, I mean that was down to people like Andy Duffin, who's still the
Yeah.
timber director
Yes.
there, Ava Bazidlau, their environmental manager. No stone was left unturned. And why walk away from something? Why not work with these countries and
Yep.
help them develop their standards?
Yeah.
Tell them what the issues are. And of course, TDUK, Timber Development UK, which we'll talk about in a bit, they work very closely with DFID, and they've done a lot of work with ATIBT. So, there's nothing wrong with trading in Africa as long
No.
as you do due diligence.
Yeah.
You've got to get your paperwork right, but also you need to go there. You need to press flesh. You need to see the forest concessions. You need to know the people.
Yeah.
And, there's been a lot of bad press about it, but, TDUK are doing work this year and raising the profile of tropical African hardwood in particular.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can remember going along to various Chatham House events, all around sort of tropical timber particularly, and illegal logging.
Yeah.
And, in the first stages, it felt very confrontational and very adversarial, and we were the minority. But it was people like Roger Latham and one or two others, Andy Duffin, would be there. And they were brave enough to not confront in a nasty way, but to stand ground and actually say, yeah, there are issues, but we're not all bad people. We're trying to do the right thing, and it's all about trying to get people to do the right thing right back in the forest. And they were really strong on it.
That's 100% right, Keith. And if you look at 2003, 2004, when Indonesia got a really bad press, they were supplying thousands of cubic meters of hardwood ply to the UK, solid hardwood, door blanks, furniture, and they were treated as pariahs and persona non grata. But some companies stuck with them and worked with them. And look at them now. They've got license, SPL car, FSC. Can a leopard change its spots? Can a poacher become a gamekeeper? I think if you look at what Indonesia did and the systems they have now, of course, we know that tropical still comes under attack from the NGOs, and we've seen recent attacks. But it's all about having robust supply chains and trust in your business partner.
Yeah.
I can't stress that enough.
Yeah.
You've got to have an open, honest relationship, and you've got to trust people.
Yeah.
And we all know now, there's product getting into the UK market from Russia.
Yes.
And all I would say to people that are knowingly buying product that is illegal, look in the mirror.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look in the mirror.
Yeah,
yeah,
and it's something. Sorry, Mike. That's something I know. you as a person, and also the company Latham's, in terms of product coming from China as well. I mean, you were very careful about that, weren't you? That and I think that all goes back to this sort of observing and meeting the supply chain and checking them out.
I spent probably the best part of 6 months of my life in China visiting people. And there's no doubt about it, when they first came to the market, product wasn't fit for purpose.
Correct.
I remember a great story. I went to see a factory on one Monday, and somebody picked me up and took me there, and the name of the factory was XYZ. And the bloke that met me was the managing director. And next week, somebody else picked me up in a different car. So we're going to see this factory, and it was the same factory. When I got there, the sign was different, and the managing director was the general manager.
All right. Wow.
So, and
Yeah.
then I went to one factory 3 times to inspect product. It looked really good, and it then came to the UK. Thankfully, it was only a small part of it. What they'd done is they'd taken platforms, which they have as core material, and they put face veneers on it to suit the different markets.
Yeah.
Of course, the platforms were only EN 636-1, and for UK, we want 636-2 or 3.
Yeah.
So, you have to be very careful, but I'm not decrying what's happening in China. I think there's a lot of good product that's come out of
Absolutely
China.
is.
Yeah.
I think it has improved very much, no doubt. But I would still say to the buyer, caveat emptor.
Correct.
Yeah.
You still need to check all your documentation. But, it's not, it'd be unfair to give a bad press to China. There's other countries that have done similar things.
Yeah.
But to me, the most heinous crime in our industry is to misrepresent a product knowingly.
Yeah.
If it's inadvertently, then hold your supply chain, your supplier responsible for it. But I think it's all about ethics to me. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
I couldn't put my name to something. I didn't want our team to put their name to something if we weren't 100% certain it ticked all the boxes that we've got. And there's no doubt, that was a driver. And when China really became a dominant force in the hardwood ply market, Latham sales went south.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of criticism, but we stuck to it and had the support of the main board. That was the strategy. That's what we were going to do.
Yeah.
Do you think the situation though has improved in the UK in terms of companies insisting on sort of reputable suppliers and sustainability and ethics? Do you think that situation has improved?
I do think it has improved. I think partly brought about by legislation,
Yeah.
partly brought about by suppliers upping their game, but partly brought about by people's ethics. I do think that the large majority of our industry knows that we've got a jewel here. We've got the planet's most renewable resource. Look after it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I came into the trade a long time ago, and over the years I've seen lots of pilot high, sell it cheap merchants. We don't need to be that.
Yeah.
We need to add value to the product. It's a precious product. It takes years to grow,
Yeah.
and then we either misrepresent it or give it away for nothing. It's so valuable.
Absolutely. Which brings us on really to the bit we want to also talk about, which is frankly, your career in terms of trade association work, because you've been heavily involved. So try and give us a bit of a timeline on that. Where did you start on that?
Well, under the old TTF, I was sat on the National Panel Products Division Committee.
Yeah.
And then I was privileged to be asked to become chairman for 3 years. And my first thing was to talk about standards. It was to talk about fit for purpose. It was to talk about representation. And it was a difficult time. But I enjoyed it. I did it for 3 or 4 years. Mm-hmm. And I then served on the Timber Trade Federation governing board for a period of time as well.
Yeah.
And people say I've got an ego, and I don't doubt that. I have. I know I have. But I think, sometimes as a leader of business, you have to have an ego.
You do.
But
Yeah.
the thing with me was it was always for the betterment of the organisation I was working for, whether it be Latham or the overall trade, as it was the Timber Trade Federation.
Yeah.
I could see that we have this wonderful opportunity, but I could see also that we were going to get a real bad press by product failure.
Yeah.
Whether it be failure in situ or documentation not being correct. So in my time at TTF, I always tried to drive standards.
Yeah. What was the reaction to that, to your efforts in that area? What was the sort of feedback you were getting from businesses?
I think 1 or 2 people didn't like it. They wanted to run their own businesses, and I basically made it clear. Look, if you can't, because don't forget, Timber Trade Federation had the code of conduct and the code of practice, and people signed up for that. And my view was, if you can't adhere to that, you should be a member.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I won't name names, but we did lose people over the years.
Yeah.
And as a trade organisation, you need income, but also it's no different to a distributor of timber products as a business. You've got to have ethics.
Yeah.
You've got to make sure that you're trading legally and in line with the regulations of our organisation.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah.
And you eventually became chairman of. Well, you were in your time with the TTF, Timber Trade Federation. You were chair when probably the biggest development in its history took place. It's merger with the Timber Research and Development Association, TRADA, to become this fairly sort of broad-ranging organisation. Can you sort of talk us through that? Because in the past, the industry, there's been the view that the industry, in terms of representation, has been fairly fragmented, but this really sort of brought the industry more into focus, I think. And so how did your involvement with that sort of begin?
Well, it was quite interesting. It was mentioned to me that there was talk about consolidation, which I 100% believe in.
I think we all do.
And I got approached by TTF to say that, would I lead the TTF team? And then bizarrely, I was talking to Trada, and they said, would you, act on our behalf? And I said, well, why don't I just set up a steering group and I'll chair it? And I got some people from Trada, and I got some people from TTF. And what people don't know, people thought that BM Trada actually owned Trada.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't.
No.
BM Trada managed Trada. Trada was owned by its membership.
Right.
So I think there was a lot of misunderstanding about what was happening. People thought, BM Trada's been taken over, or BM Trada's merging. It wasn't BM Trada.
No.
It was Trada. And it took quite a long time, because some of it happened post-COVID, post-COVID in 2021. But anyway, we worked hard to get the merger agreed. And I was very honoured when I was asked if I would chair the merged organisation, which I've done now for 5.5 years.
But you're making that sound really quite simple. It was a huge task, wasn't it? I mean, not without its egos. I'm not talking about you now. I'm talking about in other areas, and there were a lot of things you had to work through to make that succeed.
Yeah, there was some stumbling blocks along the way, and some of them were well beyond our control. Mm-hmm. And at one stage, it was getting legalistic, and I thought, this is just ridiculous. But the people that sat on the Trada board and the people that sat on the TTF board wanted to make it happen.
Exactly.
So I said, right, I'm going to drive this, but need support from you guys. And there was not one person on the respective boards, didn't want the merger to happen. So yes, it was a lot of hard work, but it was made easier by this mindset that we needed one merged organisation.
Whereas, sorry to interrupt. Whereas I was involved with you in when I sort of first contacted you, I see as a bit of a shame, really. Failure is probably too strong a word, but it was quite a big effort to merge with another trade association, with the TTF, and that really was tough going, wasn't it? And it didn't work.
It didn't work because the respective organisations thought they were going to lose their identity.
Exactly.
And, there was 2 chief execs, and it was like turkeys voting for Christmas.
Yeah.
But the whole point was it would be more of a one-voice collaboration, and we would speak for a wider part of the trade as one voice. And it should have happened, but that was down to individuals and very much egos.
Yeah,
very frustrating, wasn't it?
But the Timber Trade Federation Trada merger went ahead.
Yeah.
And what would you say? I mean, from the feedback I get and talking to people, I mean, it's seen as a big success. What's your sort of view of the outcome? Now it's all happened, and it's now Timber Development UK one body.
I think we're representing the supply chain literally from field to fork now. So you've got sawmillers, panel producers overseas, importers, merchants, agents, architects, designers, contractors, and I think that's been great. Yeah. I think we acknowledge that we need to do a bit more for the architects and design side, and that is something that very much we're going to do this year. We're going to strengthen the internal team with a technical manager that will work with architects and designers. We are adjusting the board. We've brought on a very high-class architect and designer So I think we've done really, really well. I think Dave Hopkins and his team, I've been involved with TTF, TDUK for 25 years. It's the best team we've ever had.
Yeah, they do a remarkable job.
I think you've got individuals there now very focused on their personal responsibilities, and they do take it personally, but they integrate really well. They work well as a team. The board is extremely strong, and the commitment we've got from people has been absolutely tremendous. And, we chairing the board meetings for me is a privilege and a pleasure, and it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
I do get challenged. Dave Hopkins gets challenged, but we do get things done.
Yes.
And we've got a strategy, and there's a 5-point plan, which is available to anybody that's a member that wants to see it. And I think, Dave has done extremely well. One of the things we wanted to do with the merger was enhance the membership value.
Yeah.
We've listened to members about what's absent from our offering, and we're working on it. And we've just introduced the learning management system, which is a game changer, and it's gone down a storm. So I think the other thing that we touched on it briefly, collaboration and with other organisations. The UK obviously is involved with CTI, which is COM4 and the Structural Timber Association.
Yeah.
But we also work very closely with the Wood Panels Industry Federation, and of course Timber Decking and Cladding Association and Truss Rafters Association are now managed by TDUK.
Yeah.
So I think we are speaking more as TDUK as a more collaborative,
unified.
board.
Yeah.
But also, Dave Hopkins and Patrick Guest, we'll talk about in a little while, who represent TDUK at CTI, and they represent a wider audience in the industry now.
Yeah.
So I think CTI has a future. We do need to get more of the trade associations involved with it.
Yeah.
But by and large, relationships with people like Builders Merchants Federation are very, very good.
Yeah.
It's just a case that we need to talk to each other. And the biggest frustration out of all of this is that I went to see a major company, a government department, in fact, last year, and they were very warm and welcoming. But it was, another trade association giving us their opinion.
Yeah.
So I sat with this guy for an hour and a half, and he's only given me a half an hour slot. And he said, I get people coming to me from different trade associations with a different angle. He said, all I want is one voice.
Yeah.
There you go.
He said, I want one voice that tells me
absolutely.
This is where I'm going to. If you've got an umbrella organisation like CTI, and somebody wants to talk to them that comes under Structural Timber Association or TUK or WPF or whatever it be, then you divert that inquiry, that thing through to that organisation. And I think, it's confusing.
Yeah.
I know of an issue where 3 different trade associations saw the same MP in 1 week, and each gave a slightly different message.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
It's misleading.
speaking with one voice for the whole industry, I mean, it's an opportunity to actually express what a big and sort of important industry it is, isn't it? As well as much as anything else. Do you see more consolidation in terms of representation, or is it just about various organisations kind of working more sort of hand in glove?
I think there'll be more collaboration, more working hand in glove rather than consolidation.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important. If there's any role for me to play post stepping down from TUK chairmanship at the end of June, I'd love to be involved in trying to really push this one voice and working with other trade associations to get this one voice. And I've spoken to people that aren't within CTI, and they agree, it makes sense to have this one voice approach. Yeah. It makes life easier. And I'd love to have a document that's signed by 8, 10, 12 organisations that sets out 3, 4, 5 points from each of them that's all agreed by an overarching body that said, we represent 95% of the timber industry, whatever it may be. This is what we want to present to you. This is what we stand for. These are the challenges that we face. So, for example, legislation in the timber industry. My God, it's so much of a business taxed industry. Yes, it's necessary, but EUTR, EUDR, UKTR, it's moving product from BS to EN. There's a lot to be done, but we need to work more closely together.
Yeah.
So taking all of that, I mean, you're a busy guy, but we're coming towards the end of this sort of interview. Time flies when you're enjoying yourself. I mean, outside of that, I know you've always been really keen on cricket, for instance, and things. I mean, there is another side to Chris Sutton than just this amazing work you've done.
Yeah, I mean, my passion is my family. My wife's been great, especially in the last few weeks looking after me. I'm not the easiest patient.
Really?
But,
You surprised me, Chris.
I've been particularly fractious because I've not had any alcohol really for a long time.
Oh dear.
I'm talking to straight. I've got two fantastic children I think the world of, but I love my cricket.
Yeah.
I love my rugby. I'm a big horse racing fan. In fact, my son-in-law is taking me horse racing to Sedgefield tomorrow. The 20th is going. It's a commemorative day for a family member. But my passion my real hobby is English wine.
Right.
And I'm a member of 8 different English vineyards.
Oh, right.
And
I'll have a chat to you about that afterwards, actually.
I visit 6 to 8 English vineyards every year. I'm a shareholder in 2 vineyards. I've got my own vines in another one.
Well,
But I enjoy, I've got a static home in Wales next to sea, which I love to get to. I like to get to Kalkan in Turkey. It's a go-to place. So, but none of this would have been possible without my career in the industry.
Yeah.
And if I can just take a couple of minutes to reflect on it. And I joined the industry in '76, which was before MDF. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Before MDF. I've seen supply chains changed when many years ago tropical hardwood plywood used to come from Korea and Singapore.
Yeah.
Softwood was from Canada, and American southern yellow pine plywood was the dominant in the construction sector. So I've seen so many changes, but I think the majority of them have been for good. How do I see the future? I see more consolidation. I see more business failures. I see the importance of supply lines becoming so important.
Yeah.
I do believe that wood fibre shortages will happen in the next 2 or 3 years. And I do worry that if you haven't got your supply chain lines sorted out, you could have some difficulties. But the overriding feeling for me is one of joy of nearly 50 years in this wonderful industry. And I have to say, we've got the crown jewels. Yes, there's more valuable products. But if you look at this lovely product, the planet's most renewable resource, it's got inherent beauty. And when you look at a piece of oak or walnut furniture, you think, we need to cherish it.
Yeah.
And all I would say to people is if you come into this industry, you've got an opportunity to develop a great career. And I think the latest initiative done by TDUK with women in timber is fantastic. And, over the years, I've seen more and more women take on more and more senior roles in the industry. And of course, I chair TDUK and we've got ladies on the board there. And I chair PFC UK as well, which I'm absolutely loving. We've got ladies on the board there. Yeah. So, I think for me, it's going forward, it's got to be more collaboration, value the product we have, play fit for purpose, legal and sustainable products on the market, and sleep well at night.
Yeah. But you've had a fabulous career, as you say, 50 years. But I get the impression you still think the sort of best years for the timber industry and timber are yet to come.
I really do.
Yeah.
As long as we don't shoot ourselves in the foot. Yeah. I think we've got so much opportunity. And the government really does want to work with timber. We've not even mentioned carbon, which is a subject on its own, a separate interview.
Yeah.
But the government really do see the benefits of working with timber. And off-site construction is going to develop more and more, no doubt. More timber frame housing, which is going to lead to more timber products being needed.
Yeah.
And this current downturn that we've got, and for whatever reason it is, and I'm not going to be political, it will come back.
Of course it will.
And I just hope that the weak might fail, the strong will get stronger. And to me, at the end of the day, it's about your balance sheet. It's controlling your cash. It's about having your supply base. It's training and educating your staff to make the differential with their competition. It's developing relationships, providing a service.
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about it. I'm not finished yet.
All right.
I'm carrying on with PSC UK, and I'm working with a Japanese company at the moment who's going to develop their business in the UK. So you've not seen the last of Chris
No,
Sutton yet.
no. We
I'm
know
sure
that.
We'll be back on
We
talking
know
timber,
that.
actually.
But sadly, we've got to bring this to a close.
Yeah, it's been so interesting.
I knew it would be hard to suppress Chris for very long. Chris, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for sparing your time and joining us on this. That's been a really, really good insight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a real privilege, and the three of us go back a long
We
time.
do.
Yes.
We do.
And we mustn't lose characters in the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We must allow characters to develop in the industry, and that's one thing I've noticed. It's more and more focused on the bottom line, which is why businesses are there. But you've got to enjoy it. You've got to have fun. We've got to have characters in this industry.
Yeah.
Too right.
Yeah.
Too right.
Excellent. Chris, so thank you so much for your time. It's been absolutely excellent.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye. Well, that was a great
I knew it would
experience.
be. I
know
knew
you
it would
said,
be.
yeah, you said it's gonna be lively.
Chris is great value.
Yeah.
And we've known each other a long time. And I would say there are times when Chris and I have not agreed on things.
Yeah.
But you know what? His style is always been to find a way through.
Yeah.
He's a great mediator.
Yeah.
And he's been a massive asset for this timber sector.
Yeah, well, definitely. And I've interviewed Chris a number of times over the years, and it's always a pleasure because he's he can be very outspoken.
Yeah.
He says
But
it
you
like it
need
is.
that.
You definitely do. And there's some people I say, "Oh, do you want to see the draft of the article before we go to press?" And
Yeah.
Chris has never done that. He said,
Yeah.
"No, I've said what I've said. Go with it.
Go. Yeah.
And I think that's been a sort of breath of fresh air.
The one bit that really came out there, and there's so much we wanted to squeeze into that little podcast.
We are going to have to get him back. At
Yeah,
some
we
point.
are. But that whole thing about CTI, and it's something I went on about, he is spot on, is that the whole idea of CTI, it's one of those old-fashioned plug boards. You remember like you used to have with a telephone system, where there'd be usually a lady, I have to say, who would be putting in and pulling out all those plugs. CTI would just be the face. And so when a minister comes on saying, I've got a question about timber engineering, say, oh, right, just one moment, putting you through, and you put them through to the right trade association. And Chris, as ever, got it spot on. They don't want to have 15 trade associations rock up, giving them 15 messages.
Yeah.
They want one face.
Yeah.
And that's what he has been a massive part of.
Yeah, and as I said, that gives the industry the opportunity to present itself as the big important sector that it is.
Which it is. And that's the bit I think we're beginning to win now.
Yeah.
And again, Chris said, we didn't even get towards talking about carbon.
No,
And all these things.
Yeah,
We've got an amazing product.
yeah,
And with people like Chris around, there's a chance we're going to win where we should win.
exactly. Really great guest.
Yeah, that worked really well. I enjoyed that.
Yep, me too.